Hello and welcome to the free masterclass, How to Stop Nagging and Get Your Kids to Listen the First Time You Ask. I am Torie Henderson with lifecoachingforparents.com. I'm so glad to see you here. This webinar is the most important webinar I've probably ever done. So I'm so happy that you made time to be here today and to watch it. This is something you've never heard of before. The thing I'm going to teach you today, I have never seen taught anywhere. And so when we're learning something new, we need to make sure we're putting our full attention on it. So all you super moms out there who are busy and you don't have a lot of time to put your full attention on one thing, I want to ask you to have your full brain power on this. Don't try to watch this when your kids are in the house or the TV's on or you're multitasking. Don't have multiple tabs open on your computer. Okay. You can fold laundry, you can walk the dog, drive around in your car, but make sure your brain is 100% focused because you will get the most out of it because this is really, really valuable stuff. So who is this webinar for? This webinar is for parents who want to be relaxed and playful with their kids, but they struggle to be there. It's hard for them to relax because there's too much to do and not enough time to do it. And so there's too much time spent nagging the kids. Parents who get really fed up with the arguing and the pushback every time they ask their kids to help out and to do something that they're supposed to be doing. Parents who want their kids to take on more responsibility, but they aren't sure how to delegate. How do I do that actually works and gets them to comply? This webinar is also for parents who feel guilty, exhausted, or snap into the what I call exploding doormat syndrome, which is the like, oh, I'm good, I'm fine, I can do it, I'll suck it up. And then all of a sudden, I can't take it anymore. I do all the work around here. Nobody's helping me. If you fall into that exploding doormat syndrome, you are in the right place. Also, if you just want your kids to do something the first time you ask, because that is a beautiful thing. So I want to talk a bit about what's not working. We spend too much energy getting our kids to focus on things they should already know how to do. Come in from school, hang up your backpack, put your lunch bag on the counter, the morning routines that they do every day. Like, come on, eat your breakfast, brush your teeth, put your shoes on. Like, they should know how to do that on their own, the daily stuff. And so it drains our energy when we feel like we have to constantly stay on top of them. I ask this question of what drains your energy the most in my Super Mom is Getting Tired Facebook group. In order to join the group, you have to answer that question. And this constantly nagging and repeating myself is the number one super mom kryptonite, the number one thing that drains our energy and makes us exhausted. So it's just not working for us. When you say, hey, can you empty the dishwasher? And your kid says, oh, yeah, sure. But then disappears for hours, leaving us wondering, like, should I remind them? Did they forget? Are they going to come down later? Should I text them? Like, we don't know what to do. Should we just do it ourselves? Like that, it creates a big energy drain. In fact, I would ask, what percentage of your energy do you think is spent trying to get your kids to do things? For a lot of us, it's a pretty high number. And especially in the summertime, when we're with them more often, it's a lot. So it's just not working for us to be so drained all the time. We let them play on their devices longer than we know is good for them because we get scared of their reaction when we tell them it's time to turn it off and get work done. We're afraid to go into battle and we know it's going to be a battle. And so we avoid it naturally. Who wants to go to battle with their kid? And so they just end up spending all day on devices. So this isn't really good for them. And so we just get so used to the arguing and pushback that we feel defeated before we even begin. We just think, oh, it's just easier just to do it myself, take on all the work, and then get resentful. So it's good to remember that responsibility is good for kids and it's good for adults. My goal is to teach you the exact steps that you need to get your kids to listen and obey you and why it matters. It's good for kids to not feel like they're the most powerful person in the house. It's kids relax when there's another calm, confident leader. They can then sit back and not feel like they have to run the show. Even if it seems like they want to have the power and be the boss, it's still not good for them. Kids like to feel responsible. They want to be capable and be able to, take responsibility for their lives and their daily chores, and they want to feel empowered. So when we can delegate to kids and trust them to do what they're supposed to do without needing to be nagged, it benefits our kids. It benefits us because we suddenly have a little more mental real estate. Our energy is freed up. We get to pursue things that matter to us, that are important, more than just brushing your teeth and going to bed, but like other things that make our lives richer. But I also think it's very important because when moms are empowered to make things happen and get what they want, the things moms want are really good for people, for society in general. We tend to prioritize children first and foremost. And so when we start feeling empowered, like I can go after what I want, you might be more likely to advocate to the teacher to make some accommodations for your student, to volunteer on the PTA, for run for public office, to be more empowered at work, to be a good role model for your kids of what it looks like to create a life that you want and to go after it with confidence. Like good things happen when moms believe in their ability to get what they want. And so this matters to me because I'm not in your house. I'm not having to listen to the nagging every day, but I want to live in a world where moms feel empowered to ask for what they want and know that they can get it, because the things that moms want are usually really good for children and for society. So that's why I am here today. And I'm super glad that you're here too, because it's very important stuff. As a thank you for attending this webinar, I'm going to send you a cheat sheet. It's how to be a calm, confident leader. So you don't have to take notes during this webinar. You can just listen and you can be driving around in your car, and I will send you the cheat sheet that you can print out and keep handy. So check your email. It will be coming soon, today or tomorrow. So who am I? I am Torie Henderson. I'm a master certified life coach for exhausted supermoms. So I've been doing life coaching for about the last 14 years. I'm host of the Supermoms Getting Tired podcast. I work as a parent educator, a classroom teacher. I teach sex education classes, and I also had developed a girls leadership camp curriculum. And the thing I'm going to teach you today, I used to teach to 12 to 14-year-olds in this girls leadership camp called Getting What You Want. How to know what you want and how to go out and get it. So I've been teaching this to tween girls, and now I'm going to teach it to mamas. I'm also a mom, of course, of two perfectly imperfect, almost young adults. So I've been through it, been where you are, and I am happy to have you here today. So I wanted to tell you about a little bit how I discovered this thing I'm going to teach you today. And this all started for me back when I was going through the teacher credential program. I decided I should substitute teach because that's how you get a lot of world experience. But it was 5:45 in the morning, and because it was still super dark, the sun was just barely coming out, and my phone rang. And on the other end of the phone was the Irvine Unified School District asking me if I was available to substitute teach that day. So I push 1 to hear the job, and I hear the recording, and it's 6th grade. Ugh. Do you remember 6th grade? I remember they would tear their substitute teachers to shreds. Like 6th grade was hard, but I was super nervous because I never managed a classroom before. I worked with kids my whole life, but I'd never been in charge of a group. But I mustered up the courage, gave myself a pep talk, pushed 1 to accept the job. So by the time I'm walking onto campus, I'm feeling a little more confident. I was young and pretty back then. Kids usually liked me. I like 11 to 12-year-olds. I'm sure they would find me a worthy substitute for their day. So I walk in the room, I'm smiling at the kids. They're look at me suspicious, like, who's this lady? And they take out their homework. We do the daily math, the journal write. It's all going okay. But about an hour in, I start teaching them the English lesson, and I noticed that they weren't listening to me. I was having trouble keeping their attention. Some of them were talking, others were turned around in their chairs, some were like drawing on their desks. So I'm like, hey kids, eyes on me, over here. This is what we're doing. Now pay attention. And that wasn't really working. So I'm like, okay, maybe like write their names on the board, like get them this is a warning. I see you're not listening. And so I was trying to be a disciplinarian. And I would like walk over to the kids that were ignoring me and stand right in front of them. Or I'd start taking pencils away from the kids who were drawing on their desks. Like I'm trying everything. I'm being nice. I'm being mean. Nothing is working. And my energy is draining fast. So by the time the kids go out for lunch, I'm flatlined. I'm already exhausted. So I'm like, I've got to do better. I've got to figure this out. So the kids come back. They're lined up before they even come into the classroom. I tell them what's going to happen. It's a good teaching technique and a good parenting technique, right? Tell them what to expect. So I said, okay, kids, you're going to come back in the room now, but this is silent reading time. You do the same thing every day. You've been doing this all year. After lunch, you come in, you take out your books, and no talking. You're just going to sit in your desk and read your books. So I checked to make sure they understood me, because that's a good teacher technique too. Like, does everybody understand? What is it you're going to do? Yes, Ms. Henderson, we understand. So they come back in, they sit down at their desks, they take out their books, and they turn into chimpanzees. These kids start like sitting on top of their desks, crawling below their desks. They're like, our teacher lets us go to the book nook. Our teacher lets us do buddy reading. And so the volume in the room is just getting louder and louder. I'm like, kids, quiet down. No, I'm going to take away your privileges. Like, it's just a zoo. So by the time the neighboring teacher pokes her head in, it's so loud in there. Nobody can possibly be reading. She looks at me, she looks at the students, and she says, everybody sit down, take out your books, and read silently. And every single kid in the room did it. Nobody argued. No one negotiated. They just obeyed her. And I was like, what did she do that I didn't do? I've got to figure this out, or my teaching career is going to end before it begins, right?